With a single dough, I'll show you how to prepare 3 kinds of pastries, maybe even more, and share all my tips to help you succeed with your dough. To start, you'll dissolve 7 grams of dry yeast in 100 milliliters of lukewarm milk. Mix it and set it aside to rest for 5 minutes. Next, in a mixing bowl, we're going to crack an egg. We'll add 40 grams of sugar. You can use much less if you want to. Next, we'll add 60 grams of melted butter. You can replace it with oil. We mix a little. Next, we add 80 grams of liquid cream. This will make the little buns super soft. You can, if you want, replace it with water or more milk. Then I add a teaspoon of vanilla powder and a teaspoon of salt. Mix well before adding the mixture. The yeast. The salt should not come into direct contact with the yeast, so mix well beforehand. Same thing, if you're making your dough with a mixer, you should keep your salt separate from the yeast. All that's left is to gradually add the flour. We'll start mixing with a whisk. For the flour, I used a total of 350 grams. As I always tell you, it's important to add the flour gradually in any kind of dough, especially with leavened dough, because it always depends on how absorbent your flour is and on its quality, so you might need more or less. So, rely mainly on the appearance of the dough. You should stop adding flour as soon as your dough reaches the right consistency. Knead it for about 5 minutes until you get a smooth and soft ball of dough. Then, shape it into a ball and put it back in your mixing bowl. Cover it with a clean cloth and let it rest for an hour and a half near a warm place. In the meantime, I'm preparing an almond cream by crushing 55 grams of soft butter until it reaches the consistency of an ointment. Then I add 50 grams of sugar and keep mixing well with a spoon until I get this result. Next, I crack an egg and continue mixing well. I continue by adding 60 grams of almond powder and mix well until I get a smooth cream. I finish by adding a few drops of bitter almond extract to enhance the almond flavor. Of course, this is optional. I mix well and the almond cream is ready. After an hour and a half of resting, we're going to punch down our dough. It should have doubled in size. We're going to put it on the work surface and then we're going to divide it into 3 pieces of dough of equal weight. We're going to form a nice round ball with our 3 pieces of dough. We'll set 2 aside and cover them with a clean cloth. And we're going to divide the first ball into 4 pieces of dough, again making sure they're all the same weight so that our buns are nice and even. We're going to form nice balls and then gently roll them out with a rolling pin. We roll it out just a little, only lengthwise. For the first kind, I simply put a big square of chocolate in the center and close my little pastry by pinching it tightly. You always have to make sure to close it well, so there aren't, any little holes to prevent your filling from leaking out during baking. For the second kind, it's the same. I divide it into 4 pieces of dough. To tell them apart even more, you can give them different shapes. As for me, I gave them all the same shape, and I assure you they don't taste the same at all. So, same thing, I spread it out lengthwise and pull the edges to close it up, pinch it well, and then I just have to give my little bread the desired shape. For the third kind, I made it with jam. You can fill them with anything you like. Spread, praline, peanut butter, pistachio paste, anything you want. Then you're going to place all your little buns on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Make sure to space them out well because they're going to rise again. Cover them with a clean cloth and let them rest for 45 minutes. Then you're going to brush them with a beaten egg. However, make sure to clearly distinguish your little buns. So, for the almond ones, I sprinkle them with almonds and slivers. And I bake them at 180 degrees for 15 minutes. When they come out of the oven, I let them cool. I drizzle some chocolate over my chocolate buns. I decorate them with a little bit of praline. On the ones with strawberry jam, I sprinkled a little bit of powdered sugar. And it's ready. All you have to do is enjoy and treat yourself. I really hope you enjoyed this 3-in-1 recipe and that many of you will try it. See you soon.